And just so you know, this is something that is off the cuff, which most of this stuff is. Um, the brick wall between Down syndrome and myself. By the way, if you're new here, or halfway middle aged in here, uh, come on in. Um, the brick wall between Down syndrome and myself. With the diplomat's glare. Okay. Um, it's fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a real. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is a real thing with me. Like having have having really no relation with the syndrome of trisomy 21, and you and yet I have it. Like it's been it's pretty weird, you know. And, and for a lot of you, this would be a weird video to watch. Me, me documenting me document me documenting the way I feel, the way the system has let me down, and I'm not really repenting on the, and I'm not really reflecting on the past so much, but not really. It's just like I'm not really doing that, but I too need, but I do need, but what I don't, what I do need, but what I don't need is an old fashioned kick in the rear end. But what I don't need is an old fashioned kick in the behind when it comes to Down syndrome. I do. I don't need it, and I can tell you why and explain since that's what this video is about. This documentary about myself, not not giving me a kick in the old uh, behind there because I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I'm already stuck there, you know, and I'm sticking. And it's not something I'm particularly proud of, but it's something that I gotta live with, you know. Like if I have what is like sometimes regularly known as end of the line syndrome. At least that's what I'm calling it. Um, I mean, what is there? Like, I mean, I'm not even too sure what people think, and I don't think I care about what they think about me. I, I mean, I care about the weather. I care about shoveling more than I care about uh, what I have and what I gotta do to and what I gotta do to like walk around and maybe even under the ridge known as Down syndrome. There's a human, there is a real human being named Brendan Solomon, and that's me. Like I mean, Down syndrome is a downside. Down syndrome is an elevator that I really don't have time for, and and the controls, and I'm not trying to come down on people who have Down syndrome. I'm trying to I'm trying to tell you that there's a human being underneath that exterior. You know, like it's like I'm trying to tell you that there are human people. Uh, underneath that exterior. You know, the like the problem with this, the problem with this, like the problem with that is that I've always been like um, lost in the cave of you know lost in the cave of of the excess knowledge of what I can and cannot do, you know, and do and Down syndrome, and I know this for a fact, and the bare naked, and I know this for the bare naked truth of what this is that Down syndrome is something I just can't do. Just because I have it doesn't mean I know it. Just because I have that doesn't mean I don't know what to do with it. I'm sorry that I ran out of here like a rabbit on a hot. I'm sorry, I'm sorry that I ran out of here. I'm sorry I ran out of here faster than a jackrabbit on a hot plate. I'm sorry that I ran out of here faster than a jackrabbit on a hot plate. Anyway, this world doesn't. Okay, all right. This world's way too large for me. Um, like it's false. Like I've been introduced. Like I like just because I have Down syndrome. To get back on track here. Like I mean, just because I have Down syndrome doesn't mean I know what Down syndrome is capable of doing. Okay, because I do. Because I don't. I do know. I don't know what I'm capable of doing on the scale of having Down syndrome, and this is not really a threat. Sorry, and like I'm not trying to threaten anyone. I'm not trying to tell them that Down syndrome is not cool. Down syndrome is cool, but to me, personally, it's a brick wall. You know, like it's a brick wall when it comes to me because there's no. It's like a trampoline that has no bounce in it. Uh, uh, according to my side, according to my view of it, you know, according to my view of it. Like, like what is there? Like I mean, I, I'm just not sure what to do with. Like, it seems. It seems like every time I try to go out there in the real world, I'm always kind of put under this label that I've been made from body parts of other people, and, you know, like in the Down syndrome sense, because like who do I like? I mean, how am I to know that? that there isn't going to be someone tearing me to pieces, in that kind of a sense, like the Pope, the Pope, like I mean, there's people every day going about their business, and then there's other people that aren't going about their business and they're being called up on it. Me, I'm not really all that different from the Down syndrome circle of life. I'm not really, but my attitude, my attitude, or not my attitude, because another, my, my so-called visions of my vision of life, my like there is a circle of life around having Down syndrome, and it's not bad. It's just that me having to go through life being known as Down syndrome number 101 or 120. Like, I mean, it's not. It doesn't look particularly nice on me, Down syndrome. I mean, because when everyone else is embracing it, and I'm not saying that others don't have ups and downs with it either. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's always a hole in the void when it comes to me, you know. Like people, the Pope, like who, like how would you feel if if other people in that line made you feel like, why am I having Down syndrome? You know, what good has it done me? Like that. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. And I'm saying kind of because I'm not quite because I'm always, instead of being part of it, I have drifted uh, I have drifted from it. Um, and I'm not someone who despises people who have Down syndrome. I'm not. I'm not someone who does. I'm not. I am not someone that defines people for having Down syndrome. It's just my view. It's just my view of it talking. Not particularly me talking, but my view, the view that I have. That my view of it is talking, not necessarily me talking, because I've seen, I've seen, I, I have seen people wearing shirts that have Down syndrome imprinted on it. You know, I've seen, I have seen people say that they accept their Asperger's, and have accepted me, and, have accept and slogans to say, yeah, I am a person who has Down syndrome. Like it sounds like someone is, it sounds like someone talking about smoking. Yes, I'm so and so. I was a smoker. Like that kind of what it sounds. That kind of almost what it sounds like. You know, like in my head, it might as well be like that kind of a circle where it's like they all get together and they're like, yeah, I'm whoever, like I'm so and so, and I have Down syndrome. Oh, hi, so and so. You know, sounds like a smoking crowd to me. Like, but that's to me. I'm not saying the whole world is like that. I, well, like when other people accept that they have Down syndrome, I kind of accept it. But then again, there's that other side of me that says no, this is wrong. Down syndrome is not supposed to be exploited. Down syndrome is not supposed to be like the, the thing that is more bigger than the boogeyman. You know, like I'm terrified. Like I'm terrified. Like I am terrified, not of the syndrome itself, but the syndrome uh, itself on me. You know, like I'm, I'm terrified. Like I am terrified that people would think that I really was like that, but I'm not. Like I'm terrified of people thinking that is me when it's not me. You know, like I mean, people do realize this. Do realize, like people don't realize how commonly, like I mean, people don't realize what really goes on behind closed doors of certain folks with Down syndrome. You know, like I'm not casting myself as a Peter Pan, but and Peter Pan does not give like I am not giving any credit to Peter Pan here. I'm not, but I'm kind of lost. But I'm kind of in a neverland of my own, and I and I pretty much refuse to have any of have any. I'm kind of refusing the fact that Down syndrome is a part of me because I mean I was born with it. It doesn't mean I was part of the club. You know, I I was born with it. I've got it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm part of the club of that. You know, I'm in. I'm I'm not. I am not giving Peter Pan any credit here. I I'm stuck in my own Neverland of what that looks like, and and it's tearing me apart. You know, it's tearing me apart because the Pope because people do uh, don't really know how to talk without including that they know someone that looks like me. You know, as opposed to people that they know that look like me, walk like me, maybe even talk like me, but they're not me. I've seen them like it's. I either want to break from it all, or I either want to break from it, or I'd rather be stuck in a Neverland. That I'd rather get a break from that, or be stuck in the, or be in the Neverland of, or be stuck in a Neverland of my own, Down syndrome shadow. Like a person, a person's a person. You know, a, a, a person. A person is a person, but a person is a person is also someone who doesn't really get it. Like, I realize a person's a person. I totally get that, but, but I do not. But I do. But I do. But I don't want to be like I'm like I'm just not that type of guy, you know, who's always who's I'm always getting the shorter end of the stick, and it's never the longer end of it, you know. I've always got a leg that's a little bigger than the other. I've always got the head. I've always got the head screwed onto a neck that's even smaller than the head that like I and I and it's also like I've got a, a head that's a lot bigger than the neck. I also have the kind of like my head is screwed on to a neck that 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 is smaller than the head. Like I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? Having a gargantuous noggin screwed onto a neck that's smaller than my head. Like, and I don't want to make this all about myself, but it's mostly like, I mean, I can feel like, I mean, I can totally relate to Peter Pan, but I'm not Peter Pan. I am not Peter Pan, but that doesn't mean I can't relate to that. Like, I am not Peter Pan. But even though I'm not Peter Pan, I can reach it. Like I'm aware that I'm not Peter Pan. Okay, I'm totally aware that I'm not Peter Pan, but I've got like, but I've got like, but I don't like. I'm aware that like I am aware that I'm not Peter Pan, but I got a lot of background. But I got a lot of Peter Pan background, like in the Down syndrome field of it, like I'm totally aware. I don't mean to repeat that. I am aware that I'm not Peter Pan, but in a way, I'm a represent. But in a way, in my own way, I'm the Peter Pan of Down syndrome. Relating like I can relate to Peter Pan, yes, but I'm not Peter Pan. On the other hand, I'm sort of the Peter Pan of Down syndrome. Like I don't accept. Like I just don't want to accept that Down syndrome is like I don't want to I don't want to accept that. Like I don't want to accept that 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 there's peace of mind that comes with Down syndrome. Like I do want that. Like I don't. I mean I'm aware that I'm not Peter Pan, but I guess I guess in a way I am Peter Pan, but I'm the Peter Pan of Down syndrome. Like I just don't want to accept that Down syndrome is a part of me. So like I'm much more like it's like being told that you have a foot. It's like being told that you have a foot smaller than the other foot that's bigger, and instead of being happy about it, I'm not very like I'm not very pleased to know that I have that, foot that's bigger than the other. I am not very pleased to know that because I I'm not very pleased with that, knowing with that because that's not where my mindset is at. Because that's not my mindset. Because not only is that not my mindset, that's not the way I think or view myself. I view myself as being stuck in a Down syndrome oriented Neverland. Like, I view myself as someone who has been there, done it, and has gone to Neverland, you know, and like, I view myself as someone who has been there and done it, and and I'm pleased, and I am not pleased with the result. I am not pleased with the result, and so I'm going to a Neverland that is Down syndrome free. You know, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that because I, I, I I've just separated myself from all of that. Having I've just separated myself from being, you know, I have separated myself from the people that support the fact that I have a bigger foot than the other. You know, I've I've separated I have separated I have separated myself from people that keep reminding me that I do have a bigger foot than the other. So like, I mean, that's all I did, and that's all that I need. Like, that's all that I like. I mean, that's all I really did. Was separate myself from people who have Down syndrome, not necessarily because they're not necessarily because it's I've only separated myself from people who have Down syndrome because I'm not pleased with having it myself, and I don't want to be reminded every time that I have Down syndrome. I do. Like, I don't want to be reminded that I have Down syndrome and that I have a bigger foot than, like, that's the reason for my, like I'm in a Down syndrome free Neverland, and I'm stuck in it. You know, I'm stuck in it because people have put me, and the reason why I'm stuck in that kind of Neverland, that is free from that is free from the people of Down syndrome, is because that's that's pretty much where people have put me in the past. They put me in a Neverland that doesn't have Down syndrome, and you know, like, I've I've been separated. Like, there is a Brendan Solomon that does not have Down syndrome, okay, and I'm put, and that's my other half. That's my other half. Where there is a Brendan Solomon who doesn't have Down syndrome at all, and a more, and that is, and that's a version of myself that doesn't come with the emotional irony. You know, like, there isn't a Brendan. Like, there is actually a Brendan Solomon that does not have Down syndrome whatsoever, and it's a person that's a personality of my own. That's a personality that I'm more familiar with, more uh, more in touch with, and like there is actually a Brendan Solomon who doesn't have Down syndrome whatsoever. You know, there is such a guy, and that's me on the scale of, or if you want to call it this, I'm sorry to repeat this. There is an actual person named Brendan Solomon that doesn't have Down syndrome. like at all. And I want to introduce it to him. He's me. He's me without Down syndrome. He's me without the emotional, and maybe even some, and maybe in some ways, and maybe in some directions, physical appearance of Down syndrome. You know, and he's more, you know, I, he still has ups and downs, but it's not around having, but it's not around Down syndrome. It's around, you know, moving out of his parents' home, um, and wondering what his circle of life is gonna, and wondering where his circle of life is gonna be, uh, and wondering what the hell, and wondering what in the hell his circle of life is gonna be when he gets there. You know, like that's a version of myself that is more real to me, more visible to the human eye, and people don't see, and a lot of people don't see that in me. Is that, oh, okay, he has Down syndrome, but he's more comfortable with the personality of not having Down syndrome. That, like, I mean, and I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I am more comfortable with that version of myself. Not having Down syndrome. I'm just more comfortable with the personality of having no sin. I'm not, like, I am more comfortable with that version of myself. Doesn't have Down syndrome and has, you know, and trying to do better with all things and not being reminded, I mean, that version of myself is being suppressed, like I don't have Down syndrome. Like, there's a version of myself that does not have Down syndrome and is not weighed down with it. Just, I mean, there is that suppressed personality that I have, that there is a version of myself who doesn't have Down syndrome whatsoever, and he's great. He's great. He's doing everything he said he wanted to do in life, and they're still doing it. Like, and that's what people don't get of me. That's what people that somewhat know me, they, they don't they don't get that part of me. That they don't get that part, that my prejudice around Down syndrome is is really just my redemption of, like, people who somewhat know me and don't know what I'm trying to say, trying to mean, is that when I look at people who have Down syndrome, I'm reminded of myself. I'm reminded that that like, when I look at people who have Down syndrome, I do not, I do, I am reminded in a very cold way that 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 I have Down syndrome. You know, it's not that they don't. It's not that I don't like people who have Down syndrome. I do. I do. It's get that straight and clear right now, right? I do like people who have Down syndrome, but me, me, but my forte, or my Peter Pan, uh, you know, is not accepting that I have Down syndrome. I don't want to accept something that has given me the blues more than once. You know, Like, I mean, that isn't me. Like, I mean, that's not me anyway. You know, I am not someone who, in the Down syndrome eye, you know, I do, like, I don't like doing those things. I mean, I don't mind doing those things, but those things don't make me the way I am. You know, I can, I can't, like, I do I don't mind Down syndrome day, as long as I'm not going to it, you know, and that's not trying. That is not me putting a brick wall. Like, that's not me putting a brick wall to that. That that there there has been a brick wall on that for years. You know, I didn't put it there. I did not put that brick wall there. People have put that there. That, you know, that seem to wanna have me, uh, you know, chain bounded to the wall of, you know, and I'm not someone who's easily chain bound to that anymore. I was, I was, I was chain bounded to that wall, you know, a long time ago. I'm not chain bounded to that wall anymore, you know, and it's because I don't like, and it's because, you know, I mean, Down syndrome is fine. I never once said that it wasn't. I never once said that it wasn't fine. But I'm trying to live in a lane that doesn't really have Down syndrome, but more focuses on my circle of life. You know, like I I'm trying to focus on my own circle of life instead of, I'm trying to focus on my own circle of life and where it's going to take me. Then I am like I am I am way more. Admit, if I do have Down syndrome at all, it's very advanced level of Down syndrome. You know, like if I don't, if I have Down syndrome at all here, it's more of an advanced level of Down syndrome. Like I if I have Down syndrome at all here, it's it's a lot more advanced. It's a much more advanced level of Down syndrome. Like I do, there's been a brick wall around me for years, and I was inside of it. You know, the poster boy of Down syndrome. Now, that I'm out of all of that, I'm not. I'm not really revisiting it. Uh, I am not really revisiting it. Uh, I am not. I'm not really revisiting it. I'm trying to focus on where I am in life and focusing on my own circle of life. You know, because and, and I encourage that for a lot of people who have Down syndrome. You know, Down syndrome is not the equation. Your Down syndrome mask is only just a mask. You know, where's the man under that? Where's the man behind that Down syndrome mask? Where's where's the woman behind that mask? You know, can't you can you try focusing on that? Can you try focusing on not your Down syndrome mask, but your own circle of life? We need more of that. We need more of that because, like, we need more of that in this world. People who have Down syndrome that don't care if they have Down syndrome or not. You know, they're just they're part of their own circle of life, and they want to see where it takes them. Instead of you know like like the lighthouse keeper, the lighthouse keeper's daughter. I'm sorry, the memory keepers. There is that movie, of someone who has Down syndrome, but they don't care about having Down syndrome or not. They just care about their own circle of life and what they're doing. So if we had more people like that in this world, like I believe, I believe that corner of the people would be happier. Because Down syndrome is just a mask. It's an invitation to Neverland. It's an invitation of having one foot bigger than the other, having your neck smaller than your head. You know, like like I mean, where's like I mean, you can have your own set of adventures. You know, you can go walking in your own hundred. You can go. You know, you can go have adventures in your own 100-acre wood. Why not? Why not? Like if you had stuff like that in your head, you would be way more happier than just clinging onto something like like Down syndrome. To me, is just a mask. Down syndrome is just a mask, an exterior. Where's the man or the woman behind that mask? What about them? When are they going to come? When are they going to say, "Hey, I don't care about having Down syndrome. I care about where I you know, like where's the man or the woman behind the Down syndrome mask?" You know, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this again. Where is the man or the woman behind the mask or exterior of Down syndrome? Where are they? Like we need people like that. Who don't give a damn if they have Down syndrome or not. Down syndrome is an invitation of having a bigger foot than the other foot, having a neck smaller than your head, and stuff like that. So here's my message to people who have Down syndrome. The minute you stop caring about having Down syndrome, uh, uh, so here's my message to either to parents, and so here's my message to all the people who do have Down syndrome. Just because you have it doesn't mean, just because you have that doesn't mean that you're bounded to it, that you're chain bounded to it. Because I gotta tell you, because like you're not chain bounded to your Down syndrome exterior. The more you start not caring about having Down syndrome or not, is the minute you can discover your own circle of life. So, the minute that you stop caring, or the day that you don't give a damn if you have Down syndrome or not, that's the day your circle of life is going to start. Having said that, I'll see you in the next thing. whenever I make it. I'll see you then. You know, that's my message to the world with Down syndrome. Is that if the day, my message to the people who have Down, all the people, my message to all the people who have Down syndrome. The day that you don't give a damn if you have Down syndrome or not is the day your circle of life begins. Having said that and done that, I'll see you later, either in the funny pages or in the Brains World channel.